GNU-regutils is a set of tools and libraries to process a kind of text-based database files called the reg files. The format of these reg files is designed in such a way that it is very easy for human to read, and it is also very easy for human to write programs that operates on them. If you look at the example on the GNU-regutils page, you might think that it is very simple, very primitive, and not very advanced, but it is advanced enough that it has the mechanism of defining schema. You can define the type of each field that a record should have, and when you insert into this database with the wrong type of values, it will report errors. The fact that this is a thing surpasses my original expectations and makes things much more interesting for me. The moment I found out about this, I found myself thinking to myself that maybe we can use this as the main database for some kind of very simple web applications other than using the normal stuff like SQLite. This surely is cursed, I thought to myself. Like, what do you mean trying to do this seriously? Surely you jest. But then a thought came to my mind. If we are going to make it cursed, then we might as well go all the way. And I know just the right tool for that. Common Gateway Interface, or CGI, is technically old technology at this point. The way how this works is that if your HTTP server has configured to handle a CGI request, if your request is to a certain CGI program, then the HTTP server would launch that particular CGI program. It will pass along the data of that HTTP request to the CGI program, either as the environment variables or as the input data sent to the standard input of that CGI process. Contrary to popular belief, you don't have to write your CGI program in Perl as long as there is a way to access the environment variables and the standard input. You are basically good to go. If I remember correctly, there has been someone who wrote a CGI script using intercal, which is quite absurd if you think about it. The language I chose to write my CGI program is Org, more specifically the GNU version of Org. I have two reasons for this. First, I have heard about Org for a very long time now, but I never had any real reasons to learn it, and I thought this would make a good learning opportunity. Second, I have always heard about Org being referred as a proper programming language, so I thought if it is truly as proper as people have said, then maybe I should go and see it myself. Maybe I should go and try to see how proper it is as a programming language. GNU Org provides a special variable that you can use to access the environment variables. Other than that, GNU Org also supports executing command and sending and or receiving data from that execute process. This means that we can call the regutils CLI tools from within Org and manage the database that way. The last remaining piece of puzzle is the HTTP server. Nginx does not support the old school CGI. My solution to this is that we don't use Nginx, but use the LightTPD server instead. It's small, it is easy to configure, and it supports the old school CGI. And if we really need to, we can use a reverse proxy. Unfortunately, when it comes to storing users' passwords, we have to do things slightly differently. You see, regutils support simple encryption, but that encryption is symmetrical encryption, and we don't want to store encryption or password because that's reversible. Normally, we don't want to store users' passwords as reversible things on our server. Luckily, GNU-Org has this mechanism. You can write an adapter in C, compile it to a dynamically linked library, and then load it within Org. That way you can access all the functions written in C within Org, which means that I can take other people's implementation of hashing function and load that implementation in GNU-Org. By doing this, we can have proper cryptographically safe password hashing function within Org. So that's what I did. Writing CGI script in Org is slightly different from writing CGI script in other languages like Python or Perl. If you know Org, you will know that a single Org script consists of actions and function definitions. And among those actions, there is the begin action and the end action. And for each record read from the standard input, the org interpreter will check each action if the condition is met. If the condition is met, the corresponding code within the action will be executed. And the thing is that if we are handling post request, the full body of the post request isn't available until we have reached the end action. So the structure of an org CGI script becomes like this. For get requests, you can handle those at your begin action. For post request or any other kind of request that has a body that will be passed in from standard input, you have to collect the data with an action that matches every single record, and you will have to process them all together at the end action. This of course is different from languages like Python or Perl, where you can just read from the standard input any place you want. Now, if we stop here, this project, in my opinion, will only be somewhat cursed. People, when they saw this, are only going to be like, ha ha ha, gay turtle library, gay turtle database, and that's about it. And that's not how the way I want to do things. I want it to be truly absurd. And my answer to the question of how to make it more absurd is that because this is clearly not a modern single-page application, we will add HTMX into the mix to make it look like one. And people are going to be like, oh, maybe this is written using React or Next.js, but in reality, there is none of those things. And that, to me, is immensely funny. I don't know HTMX, but I know how to program, so I can pick it up relatively easily. During my meddling with HTMX, I found out about two things. First is that I found myself starting to design things around fragments of HTML. Maybe this is the intended effect of HTMX. The second thing is that the add include directive supported by GNU-org resolves relative path not with the directory the org script is located. It is resolved against the path determined by the environment variable org path instead. So you would need to be careful if you have org scripts at multiple layers within the directory structure, especially if you use the ... directory, which goes up one level. If you use that, it's not going to resolve correctly. I tried to change the environment variable using mod setenv, but for whatever reasons I couldn't get it to work, so I have to put all the org scripts within the same directory so that all the relative paths include can resolve correctly. This is not ideal. Maybe I can use mod magnet to rewrite the HTTP request, but that involves using Lua, and using Lua in such a project to me feels like it's making it less cursed, which I couldn't accept due to aesthetic reasons. So it is what it is. I've put both the plain version and the HTMX version on GitHub. You can check it out by using this link.